I wanted to make a video to introduce, to everybody that watches my channel, my project car. After all, I kind of intended this channel to be for cars, trucks, and bikes, and wrenching all that stuff, guns. So a little bit of everything. So anyways, this is it. I'm just kidding. This is my project car. This is Diane. That's what I've named her. This is my 58 DeSoto Firedome. It is a four-door sedan, and I kind of wanted to do this video to introduce you guys my project car and kind of tell the story of how I got it and kind of what my plans are. And that's going to be kind of the start of restoring this car. So I already said it's a 58 DeSoto. The thing I think is really cool is it's a DeSoto to begin with. They went out of business, I think, in 1962, and so it's kind of an oddball car. Now, I really like Mopars, and I really wanted, my project car to be a Mopar, a Dodge or a Plymouth. And this one is actually a Mopar. Funny enough, they were owned by Chrysler, And anywho's, I guess we're gonna walk around the car as I kind of talk about how I got it. So, me and my buddy started mowing yards in high school, and he saw this little old lady trying to push mow her yard, and he offered, like, hey, me and my buddy are cutting grass, let us do it for you. And so she said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And she had this in her garage, and so every time I'd go over to mow her grass, I would see this car in her garage, because she had like the little windows in the garage door. And I always thought it was super cool. I'd never heard of a DeSoto, back in high school. I thought, man, this is neat. And so I cut her grass for many years, and usually I'd go inside and chit chat with her once I was done cutting grass, and then I'd leave. And usually I wouldn't talk to her over the winter, and come summertime, or springtime, I should say, I'd come knock on her door and be like, hey, you want me to cut your grass again? Yeah. And once I graduated, that's a little loud. Once I graduated high school, I just started cutting her grass for free, and I was only charging her, I think 20 or 30 bucks. Anyways, so I just started cutting her grass for free because it didn't take very long, and I liked her a lot. And anywho's, one year I went, after the winter had gone and passed, I went to her door, knocked on it, and see if she wanted me to cut her grass. She didn't answer, so I have a little note on her door with my phone number. It said, hey, just give me a call if you're interested. And I did get a call, but it was not from Mary. It was from her family. They informed me that she had passed away actually the day I came and knocked her door. She wasn't in the house. She was, at the hospital with her loved ones, but that kind of sucked. So I offered to the family, I said, hey, I really like Mary, so if you want, I'll just continue cutting the grass until you guys sell the house, because they had like an estate sale and all that kind of stuff. So they were super happy that was, one less thing on their plate to be stressed about during, losing a loved one. And the son, his name was Jay, he sat me down and was like, hey, Mary told me that you really, really like this car. I was like, yeah, I do. It's a real slick car. I like it. And he said, well, we'd like to sell it to you. And, at this time, I just graduated high school, and, I had an apartment, and I really wasn't, need to buy a project car per se. Just, finance wise, not a good decision. And so I was thinking, man, he's going to throw some number out here I just can't, fathom. He's like, I don't know. We're thinking of just, giving it to you for 300 bucks. And, I about leapt out of my chair and grabbed money right then and there. But, as you can see, I did take the car. And this car is real cool. So now that the story's kind of over, we'll kind of go into some of the cool things I like about this car and whatnot. They did have one condition for me. They wanted to see, pictures as I restored the car. And, once it was in running and driving condition, they wanted to take it for a spin. Because after all, this is a car that Mary, the old lady who passed, all her kids learned to drive on this car. They've had this car for a long time. Actually, if we go look on the back, there is a dealership tag for Adam Rochester. I feel like I'm not saying that right. Anywho's, with all the rust, if you can't tell, this is a northern car. I'm pretty sure they lived in Indiana before this. And yeah, the salt and the snow and, you know, being a northern car was not kind to it regarding to rust. But let's kind of get into it. So 58 DeSoto, 4-door sedan. It's a Firedome. Now, as cool as that sound, it does not have the Firedome Hemi. I was kind of crossing my fingers too. Now, when Jay sold it to me, he told me, "Oh, it's a 360," and I was like, "Oh, that sounds about right." You know, 360 small block Mopar. I was like, "Cool, okay." And after looking at it, I was like, "Man, that's big for a small block," and I didn't know any better, so I went to my neighbor. He's a kind of a big Mopar guy as well. He goes, "Oh, you got a big block?" I'm like, "Really? I do." He's like, "Yeah, you got a big block." I'm like, "Well, what is it?" He's like, "Well, tell me what the car is." So I told him. He goes, "Oh, it's a 361." I was like, "I've never heard that. It's a big block." So I like to tell people I've got the smallest big block ever. So that's kind of cool. Anywho's, I got the car, and the nice thing about this thing is it is, I'm going to say 99% complete. There's not a lot of missing parts, and the few parts that are missing, like, you know, the mirror, or there's a piece of trim on the other side that's missing. It's actually all in the car. It's like in the back seat or the trunk. So most of this car is here. I did replace the radiator with I think it's a 4-row aluminum radiator. I did replace the water pump, just because once I started tearing into this thing, at least the motor, it was nasty. So the motor was seized when I got it, and we poured a little bit of ATF down the cylinders, let it soak, I think, I don't know, a couple days, maybe a week or something like that, and she freed right up. So all I've had to do to get this thing running is I did buy a new coil, which doesn't look very new now. Battery. To start it, I didn't actually put the new radiator and water pump in. I started it without and just didn't leave it running for long, but I did put all that in, as you can see. And yeah, she fired right up. I put a little carb cleaner down the carb, and she popped over. Now, I did cut the fuel line to the carb, so I will need to redo that someday, and that's why I've got this. I pour just some gas down the funnel, and that's how I've moved it around the property here. Let's go on to, I guess, the transmission, because this is one of the things that it really caught my eye about this car once I actually was able to get in the garage and look at it. It is an automatic, and I told myself, you know, for my next project, I really want a manual transmission, you know, Mopar. That was kind of my criteria. But I felt like I kind of had to make an exception here, because this is a 3-speed automatic, but it is a push-button transmission. And while that's not necessarily high-tech nowadays, I think for 58, that's pretty freaking rad. I mean, just boop, pop it and drive. Like, how cool is that? So it's just a 3-speed. And while we're going kind of high-tech, this car, it's kind of outfitted with a lot of cool stuff for being a 58. We've got power windows, and if I remember right, it's been a long time since I started this car, but all of them work except for the passenger one. So we've got power windows. This bench seat up in the front is a power bench seat, and so it'll scoot forward, back, and up and down. And so I thought that's really cool, and that, you know, still works. We've got a radio that kind of came in a lot of cars, so nothing too fancy there. And then I don't have it hooked up right now. I don't really remember why, but we do have power steering and power brakes. So I mean, this was a nice car back in the day. I mean, it was outfitted pretty cool, and I like that. You know, it's neat and it's different. You know, everybody can go get a Mustang or a '57 Chevy. You know, kind of what everybody builds. Every time I say DeSoto, unless you're an old guy, you know, they go, DeSoto, what's that? You know, if it's an old guy, they go, oh, wow, I haven't heard of DeSoto in a long time, you know? So it's a really cool car. Another one of the reasons I really like it is it looks like pristine, you know, the 58 Plymouth Fury. and it's just a little different. So a little fun fact about some of these early Mopars, and I'm glad I knew this before I went into it. You know, I have changed the tires. I just put these cheap tires, and you can see I put these little flaps on, which don't look that very good right now, but I believe it's the driver's side are actually reverse thread on the lug nuts. So if you have an old Mopar, just maybe keep in mind that lefty might be tighty instead of loosey. So anyways, there's quite a few quirks and features. I'm going to start talking like Doug Demure now, that I think are really neat about this car. We got this really long antenna. I mean, that thing looks like just crazy long. I absolutely love the triple stack tail lights. You know, the big fins. That's a huge win for me. I really wanted a car that had big fins on it. This car does not have it equipped, but some DeSotos actually had the exhaust come out of these little, I don't know what you'd call them, but end caps on the bumper here. As you can see, this is blocked off. It's, you know, just I think a single pipe underneath the car. So when I do get to restoring this car, I may put that there just for funsies, just cause. I think my plan for this car overall is I kind of want to restore it to original. Now, Blake, you already put a 4-row radiator in that's aftermarket. Yeah. Well, I want it to be mostly original, but drivable, something I can enjoy. There's nothing wrong with having a completely bone stock car. I'd love for it to be like that, but I think it'd be cool to maybe have just a 4-barrel carb. So I'd put a 4-barrel intake, and then either a Carter or Holley 600 CFM, you know, 4-barrel carb. It's got a generator on it, very old school, so I'd probably put an alternator on it, you know, someday. So just a few things to make it a little bit more friendly and drivable. The few times I have driven this car around the lot, I gotta say that power steering is butter. You can take your pinky and, I mean, it's smooth. So I really do like that. Another thing that's kind of cool, I'm pretty sure it's this one, is the aftermarket horn, because we've got, you know, our 2 horns right here, and then we got this one. So if you go, you know, honk the old horn ring, it makes an awooga sound. And I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the battery. I don't know if this is actually it looks like it's got a little power. So we'll go ahead and give that a honk and see how it sounds. Maybe I gotta put the keys in it. We'll see. Oh.
We'll bring your microphone up to the front.
All right, let's go see if the horn ring will work here. I mean, that's just awesome. Another thing I think, and I'm being so silly here, I think it'd be cool to have one of those wolf whistles, you know, that you hook up to like a vacuum line, go woo. So that'd be kind of cool. But I'm going to take the camera here and kind of show you guys the inside, because I think this car is just really neat, you know, inside and out. So first and foremost, we have our speedometer here, and it kind of reads like a thermometer, where it just has like a little red ribbon that goes all the way across the board there. We've got our nice little turn signal lights, and 39,000 miles, which could be 139 or just 39. I don't know, and I really don't care, because I'll probably rebuild the motor anyways. There's our radio, which does work. Let's see. This one. Well, that's over here saying it worked. There we go. I don't really remember how to do this. I'm trying to remember which one's volume. Okay, because this is channel. There we go.
powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better.
There we go. We got our little clock there, glove box, ashtrays for everybody in the car, your driver, your passenger. There's your heater and your cigarette lighter. Something I actually don't know is what these two little rocker switches are for. I have yet to figure that out. So if anybody has any idea, or if that's something that's aftermarket, let me know, because I'm just kind of curious. So that's kind of the interior of the car. It's in okay shape. It definitely needs a lot of love. I will say this is another thing I like. It's got the dash-mounted rear view mirror, kind of like Christine, that Plymouth Fury. So, anywho's, give this back to my cameraman. So, that's kind of the car. There's really not much else to say about it. It's a really cool car. I did find this, though. This is kind of interesting. There is a little plug-in right here. And I thought that was super weird because I was like, oh, this isn't a diesel. You don't have to plug it in. But I'm assuming that it being a northern car, it probably faced a lot of cold, harsh winters being outside. And so you'd plug your car in overnight to keep it warm. That way it'd start. So that could always be a possibility. So that's kind of neat. I will show the trunk here because the trunk's kind of cool. I mean, it's just massive. And I know that sounds, lame to say, this little thing. We're going to have a hell of a time closing that. I just know it. Anyways, here's our trunk. This thing is massive. I mean, you could probably rent this to a family in New York and charge a lot of rent. Of course, we've got all the antique finds, like your spare tire cover. It looks like a single barrel carb. We have, it looks like strap-on ice skates. We've got some heater parts. And then we've got optional ventilation. And then looks like a little toolbox. And don't forget all the mice poop. That is another thing. I don't actually have this here, but I do have the original. I wouldn't say original, but the plate. I'll close that later. I do have the plate that was on the back of the car, and the last time this was on the road was in 1981. The story that Mary told me was her and her husband took the car to a church car wash. So I assume the church was doing a little car wash in their parking lot to raise money. They got the car washed and they put it in storage and didn't touch it since. So it's been a long time since this car has ran and drove, and it does run and drive. It needs brakes badly because it has none. So it needs brakes. I need to hook up the transmission cooler lines down there, put the power steering back on. I will need to probably rebuild the carb and hook up a fuel line to it. And if it was me, I'd prefer I haven't actually dropped the gas tank, so I'd like to drop it and look at it and see if it's salvageable or if I just need to buy a new one. Anyways, so there's quite a few things I want to do to it because I want to get it mainly just running and driving. So, anywho's, if you guys have suggestions on where to buy parts for this car and stuff like that, I would love to hear that because this car is a little difficult to find parts for. There are some Dodge and Plymouth parts that interchange, but there's a few that definitely don't. So I guess if you guys have any suggestions of what to do with this car and when I should start rebuilding it and whatnot, let me know. And if you want to see me, at least get it started again, put it around the lot, put in the comments if you want to do that too. So I'd be happy to do that. So anywho's, this is an introduction to Diane, the DeSoto. So you will probably be seeing more of her in the future. So I guess stick around and see if you can see this whole bucket of rust that I call my car. So thanks for watching, and if you like videos like this, or videos where I fix up stuff and talk about stuff, then I guess subscribe and check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching.